Imagine dedicating countless hours, dreams, and hope to a journey that promises to transform your life. A journey not just of travel, but of connection, learning, and discovery. Picture a group of young people, 33 Palestinian children and teenagers, together with their 14 mentors, all from the West Bank, preparing for a once-in-a-lifetime adventure to Ireland. Their goal: to immerse themselves in Irish culture, play Gaelic games, and forge friendships that might last a lifetime. Now imagine that only a handful of days before departure, these dreams are shattered. In July of the year 2024, Ireland, a nation globally renowned for its legendary hospitality and Siad Mile, failed. 100,000 welcomes delivered a stark refusal. The country's immigration service denied all of their visas, abruptly closing the door on what should have been a transformative cultural exchange. Why did this happen? How could a country with a centuries-old reputation for welcome and empathy, itself shaped by its own struggles and journeys, turn away a group of children yearning for connection? The answer is not simple. It is tangled in a web of history, politics, bureaucracy, and the ever-present tension between national security and humanitarian outreach. To truly understand this controversy, let's first delve into Ireland's deep and nuanced relationship with Palestine. The roots of this bond stretch back generations, woven from parallel experiences of occupation, displacement, and the quest for self-determination. Ireland's own past, marked by centuries of colonization, the struggle for independence, famine, and emigration, has nurtured a wellspring of empathy for other peoples facing hardship and injustice. It is no coincidence that in the year 1980, Ireland took the bold step of officially recognizing the Palestinian Liberation Organization, becoming one of the first European nations to do so. This act was more than diplomatic. It was a statement of solidarity, born from a nation that has known the sting of oppression and the struggle for identity. Over the decades since, Irish politicians, artists, and citizens have repeatedly voiced their support for the Palestinian cause. Streets in Dublin and Cork have filled with thousands of demonstrators, waving banners for peace and justice. Irish musicians have organized benefit concerts. Writers and poets have lent their voices to campaigns for Palestinian rights, and universities have fostered academic exchanges. These connections are more than symbolic. They are living, breathing ties that bridge continents and cultures. One of the most powerful expressions of this bond is found in the world of sport. The Gaelic Athletic Association, or GAA, is not simply a sporting organization. Founded in the year 1884, it stands as a pillar of Irish identity, community, and cultural pride. Its games, hurling, Gaelic football, camogie, are not just pastimes, but rituals that bind families, neighbors, and generations. The GAA is woven into the fabric of every Irish town and village. It is a symbol of resilience and unity, echoing the spirit of a nation that has reclaimed its cultural heritage. In January of the year 2024, an Irishman named Stephen Redmond carried this torch of Irish sport and solidarity to the West Bank, founding GAA Palestine. His mission was as ambitious as it was generous: to introduce Gaelic games, with all their unique values of teamwork, respect, and community, to Palestinian youth growing up in environments shaped by conflict and uncertainty. GAA Palestine quickly became more than a sports club. It became a lifeline, a space for joy, for learning, and for connection. For many of these children, it was their first encounter with a world beyond checkpoints and walls. The plan for the summer of 2024 was both simple and extraordinary. 33 children, some as young as 10, and 14 dedicated mentors would embark on a tour of Ireland. The itinerary included the green fields of Tipperary, the charm of Fermoy, and the vibrant energy of Cork City. Local GAA clubs, including the storied St. Vincent's in Cork, eagerly prepared to welcome the visitors. Over 150 Irish families volunteered to host them, opening their homes and hearts in an act of solidarity and friendship. The schedule was packed: friendly matches, community barbecues, seaside outings, and shared meals. Imagine the excitement of West Bank children seeing the vast Atlantic Ocean for the very first time, or the laughter echoing through Irish kitchens as new friends share stories and traditions. These were not just games. They were bridges, built of hope and human connection. Yet only 7 days before the group was set to board their plane, disaster struck. The Irish Department of Justice issued a blanket rejection of every single visa application, citing alleged gaps in documentation. According to GAA Palestine, every form, letter, and parental consent request had been meticulously completed. Volunteers even traveled back to the West Bank to ensure everything was in order. Still, the answer was an unequivocal no. Stephen Redmond, the organization's chairperson, captured the heartbreak in his words. The volunteers back in Ireland are utterly and completely devastated by the denial of the visas. The disappointment was not limited to the children and their mentors. In Cork, Sinn Féin politician Thomas Gould described the decision as a scandal, pointing out that red tape was now choking the dreams of children whose only crime was wanting to play Ireland's national sport. Local GAA clubs voiced their sadness, recalling how, for generations, sport has built bridges where politics could not. The controversy exploded into national debate. Was this simply a question of missing paperwork? Or did it reflect deeper inconsistencies in Ireland's immigration policy? The government, for its part, stood firm. Teneriste's Simon Harris, one of Ireland's most senior officials, defended the tough process, stating, "Every individual visa application has to be considered on its merit. The rules will be robustly applied, especially when it comes to the well-being of children traveling without their parents." The government's reasoning focused on child safety, a priority that resonates across the globe, especially in an era of heightened concern about child trafficking and exploitation. Yet critics argued that the system had become so rigid that it now hinders compassion and international solidarity. Dr. Nasreen Ali, a renowned expert in immigration law at University College Dublin, weighed in. International law demands fairness in all cases, but especially for vulnerable groups such as children from conflict zones. Amnesty International Ireland echoed this sentiment, questioning whether the denials represented discrimination cloaked as bureaucracy. The Irish government countered by pointing to its record: over 700 visas granted to Palestinians since the outbreak of the most recent Gaza conflict. Yet the disparity was clear. While Israeli citizens can enter Ireland without a visa, Palestinian children face a daunting maze of paperwork, delays, and, as in this case, heartbreakingly closed doors. The consequences of the visa denials are far-reaching. For GAA Palestine, the financial blow alone is severe. The organization stands to lose over €30,000, money painstakingly raised through donations and volunteer efforts. For a grassroots initiative, that loss is devastating. But the real cost is harder to measure. Months of anticipation, training, and hope, all evaporating in a moment. For the children, many of whom have never left the West Bank, it is the loss of a rare window into a different world. A world where conflict and occupation are replaced by play, learning, and new friendships. Despite the setback, the story is not over. GAA Palestine has launched an appeal, resubmitting every piece of documentation requested by the authorities. Volunteers have once again traveled to the West Bank, double-checking signatures and ensuring all parental consent forms are up to standard. The process is painstaking, but the stakes could not be higher. If Irish officials reverse their decision, it would not only rescue the children's summer, but reaffirm Ireland's reputation as a nation that matches action to its values. Meanwhile, the outpouring of support from Irish society continues to grow. Over 150 families have reaffirmed their willingness to host the children, and local clubs have offered to organize alternative events. The GAA, through its president Jarlath Burns, released a statement expressing disappointment at the visa decision, pledging, "We will provide every possible support to ensure these children experience Irish culture and sport." If the appeal fails, alternative plans are already in motion. GAA clubs in Northern Ireland, particularly in Omagh, County Tyrone, have stepped forward to offer their facilities and support. While travel to the Republic of Ireland remains blocked, Northern Irish clubs could host a scaled-down version of the tour. There is also serious discussion about organizing a GAA summer camp in Jordan, a neighboring country that has played host to many displaced communities over the decades. This option, while promising, would require new funding, logistical support, and coordination with international aid organizations to ensure the children's safety and the program's quality. The legal dimension of the case is also intensifying. Legal experts are exploring the possibility of a judicial review, arguing that the visa denials may amount to discrimination and could set a troubling precedent for future cultural exchanges involving children from conflict zones. If such a review succeeds, it could force the Irish government to clarify and potentially reform its visa policies, making them more transparent, equitable, and compliant with international human rights standards. However, legal battles are rarely swift or inexpensive, and the outcome remains uncertain. On a broader scale, this episode is catalyzing a vital national conversation about the future of Ireland's cultural exchange and humanitarian visa programs. Should special provisions exist for children from conflict-affected regions? Should Ireland, a country with a proud tradition of international solidarity, adopt more flexible procedures for cultural, educational, and sporting exchanges? These questions strike at the heart of Ireland's identity and its place in the world. Senator Chris Andrews, a lifelong advocate for Palestinian rights, highlighted the underlying imbalance. While Israeli citizens can enter Ireland without a visa, Palestinian children must navigate a labyrinth of paperwork, only to be met with rejection. The Department of Foreign Affairs now faces mounting pressure to clarify whether its policies truly reflect the solidarity it proclaims on the world stage. The issue is not just a bureaucratic one, it is existential, touching on the values that Ireland wishes to project abroad. This controversy also shines a light on the remarkable power of grassroots action. The fact that over 150 Irish families volunteered to welcome Palestinian children into their homes is not only inspiring. It is a testament to the ability of ordinary people to bridge divides that politics often cannot. As Ruairi Quinn, former Minister for Education, observed, cultural exchange programs are vital for fostering understanding and empathy. These initiatives create ripple effects, nurturing the next generation of global citizens who may one day lead the way to peace. But the situation also exposes the dangers of bureaucratic inertia. Even the best-intentioned policies can become obstacles to compassion when applied inflexibly. Immigration systems, designed to protect, can inadvertently exclude those who most need protection. For viewers worldwide, this is more than an Irish story. It is a cautionary tale. Immigration rules and visa policies shape lives. They can either open doors or slam them shut, sometimes on children whose only wish is to explore, learn, and play. The GAA Palestine story is not unique. Across the globe, similar tales unfold every day. Children's sports teams, student groups, and cultural delegations denied entry because of paperwork, suspicion, or shifting political winds. Each time, the loss is not just to the individuals involved, but to all of us. Every missed exchange is a missed opportunity for understanding, friendship, and peace. So what can be done? First, citizens can raise their voices. Contact your local representatives. Urge them to support transparent and compassionate visa processes. Support organizations like GAA Palestine by donating or volunteering. Engage in your own community, welcoming newcomers, and fostering understanding. Even small acts, a letter, a donation, a welcoming gesture, can have outsized impact. Second, policymakers must take these stories seriously. The balance between national security and humanitarian outreach is delicate, but not insurmountable. Ireland, and countries like it, can lead the way by establishing clear, compassionate pathways for cultural exchange, especially for vulnerable groups. As Fintan O'Toole, a prominent Irish journalist, has argued, the gap between stated values and actual policy must be closed if Ireland is to maintain its moral standing. Third, the international community has a role to play. Organizations like the Irish Red Cross and international sporting bodies can provide support, funding, and advocacy to ensure that children from conflict zones are not left behind. The success of GAA Palestine could serve as a blueprint for similar initiatives worldwide, using sport as a tool for healing, learning, and peace-building. At the same time, the resilience of GAA Palestine and its supporters offers hope. Claire Liddy, the organization's international spokesperson, put it simply, "It's a setback, but we will keep going and not give up hope." This spirit has inspired a crowdfunding campaign to cover potential financial losses and fund alternative activities. The story is spreading far beyond Ireland, with messages of support arriving from around the world. The stakes are high. If the Irish authorities reverse their decision, it will be seen as a triumph for community solidarity and the belief that sport and culture can transcend borders. If not, the children's dreams may find new beginnings elsewhere, perhaps in Oman, perhaps in Jordan, or perhaps in future reforms inspired by their journey. It is important to note that since the outbreak of the latest Israel-Gaza conflict, Ireland has granted over 700 visas to Palestinian applicants. This demonstrates that change is possible and that determined advocacy can move even the most entrenched systems. The Department of Justice has emphasized that every application is reviewed on its merits, citing a commitment to child safety and rigorous documentation. Yet, as this case shows, even the best intentions can falter when systems become inflexible. The lessons here are clear. Grassroots action matters. Bureaucratic systems must be humane and transparent. Policymakers must listen not only to rules, but to the real stories and aspirations behind every application. And above all, cultural exchange, be it through sport, art, or learning, remains one of our most powerful tools for building peace and understanding in a fractured world. So what do you think? Should countries like Ireland adopt more flexible visa rules for cultural exchanges, especially for children from conflict-affected regions? Can sport and culture build bridges where politics has failed? We want to hear your voice. Share your thoughts in the comments below. If stories like this inspire you, subscribe to our channel and join a global conversation about justice, empathy, and the future we can build together. In the end, the story of GAA Palestine is about far more than sports or travel. It is about hope, resilience, and the power of ordinary people to change the world. It reminds us that even in the face of disappointment, new doors can open and new bridges can be built. Together, we can shape the future of global understanding,